What's up, real Detroit Lions fans? We are coming at you with a sub DSA roundtable type of video right now. It was supposed to be just me and Andrew coming out here talking about free agency, but we got some DSA members in the house. Excited to have JMO and MicroMike on. MicroMike, say what's good to the people in the chat.
Hey, man, it's 3 p.m. Eastern time. I'm out of work, and that's good, man. Let's get it.
All right, JMO, what's going on with you, brother?
What's good, man? What's good? How y'all doing out there?
All right, Andrew.
Yo,
what up?
From
another mother, man. I missed you, bro. How have you been?
For real, it's been a long time since me and you've been on the same show, man. We've pretty much been trading off on the roundtable, so I'm glad to have you back, bro.
Yeah. Last time it was a debate, but we're here now together. We're talking about going to free. So pretty much we haven't had any time to talk about free agency, what's been going on. We had a lot of moves. We haven't even talked about the Darius Slay stuff on our channel, but we've talked about it multiple times on the roundtable. So we're not going to dive too much into that, but we do just want to address, everything that's been going on. We had a lot of signings, a lot of, what I think is great talent leaving the Lions. So let's jump into that right now. So, we made some big splashes early on in free agency. We had Jamie Collins signing, Danny Shelton signing, trade for Dron Harmon, and we signed Desmond Trufant. Trufant.
Yep.
Yeah, we signed Trufant, and then we got rid of some of our captains on the defense, which looked surprising when it happened. So got rid of Devin Kennard, got rid of Darius Slay for a 3rd round pick to the Eagles. So going off of all that, I just wanted to say, I wanted everybody here to give an overall grade of the free agency move so far. And I wanted you to tell me what's your one favorite move and one, not so favorite move. So why don't we start off with you, Mike? What's going on?
All right, I'm going to give them a B. And the reason why is at the end of the season, I said, I want this team, since they retained Matt Patricia, to go exactly in his image and get the players he wants. No ifs, ands, or buts. Have a direction. Go that damn direction. Don't hold back. And guess what? That's exactly what they did. So they got the players they want, whether it succeeds or does not succeed. They got exactly who they targeted. They got their Patriot players. Now we can go ahead and get these moves to just be on the team and complement what's going to take place in this draft. Hopefully we get a blue chipper and we get some help on defense with a solid player. Same with the offense, whether it be the guard or the tackle position. But I give it a B, man. They got who they wanted. It's not the splashiest names in the world, but it's also not just junk players. So, Collins, I think he'll help out on the defense for sure. Trading Slay for a 3rd and a 5th. We can probably move back up in the 2nd round with that type of ammunition. You get Trufant. So, not too bad, man. B, and it could go to an A just depending on who they get in this draft. If they get some really solid blue chip players on defense and maneuver around and pick up some players, man, it could really complement this free agency.
Yeah. I'm just going to get mine out of the way real quick because I pretty much have the same mindset as you, Mike. Going into this, we had a lot of holes to fill, and it seemed like as free agency went on, we kept kind of taking, adding holes to our team and kind of patching them up. Got rid of Snacks Harrison, got Danny Shelton, got rid of Devin Kennard, got Jamie Collins, got rid of Slay, got Trufant, and so on. But, our defense wasn't good last year. And you're right. Patricia needed to bring in his own guys. That's clearly what he wants to do. And he's dying to bring in his own guys so that he can have the culture he wants. So I'm glad that he's done that so that we have no reservations and no more excuses for this guy. For if this season is another disappointment, we can wholeheartedly say that we want to go in another direction and possibly even rebuild. So I like the moves from that standpoint. And I do like the idea that this quite possibly, even though we didn't really shoot up in the talent department, we might have stayed the same in the talent department, but the cohesiveness within the unit and the culture that it might instill, because these are Matt Patricia's guys, I think the potential is there. And hopefully, if it doesn't work, we will have no reservations. That's my biggest positive from this free agency so far. But there was also some secondary additions, right? We got Geronimo Allison, we got Ragland or whatever his name is from Kansas City. That seems like a really important signing because he has the potential to be an impact player on this team. Maybe not a starter, but an impact player on a very, very cheap deal. So I like that signing as well later in free agency. But let's go to you, JMO. What do you think about the moves in free agency so far? Are you disappointed? What? And give me one, positive thing and or one negative move that you had.
I'm not giving them a B. I'm sorry. So they're gonna have to get a C+ because I don't really know about what they're doing. Like, I think everything that y'all saying is just a cop out. Oh, they got their guys. Now you don't have no excuses, man. How many first year coaches do we have to see be successful in their first year for we to keep giving Matt Patricia the same excuse? We got 2 first year coaches in our division. And now I know neither one of y'all are gonna tell me that the Packers got a loaded roster. They are trash. Like, I still don't know how they won that many games. Like, I remember I said that on the last round. I don't know how the Packers won as many games as they did looking at their team.
Man.
And soon as they went to the playoffs, they got bounced out. Like, so, I mean, their defense was good, but they had one good unit on the team. So, their receivers, who are their receivers? I'm just saying, like, we've seen first-year coaches be successful. So I don't think Matt Patricia deserves that excuse, especially since the roster that he had was a team that went 9-7, and then you got a roster and you went 6-10 with it, so on and so forth. But the free agency, I like getting Jamie Collins. I like Harmon. The positive that I would take out of this is it's kind of hard, man, because I just feel like they did a lot of average, menial moves. But I'll positive I'll take out of this is maybe I don't know. It's kind of hard. Maybe because like they got rid of Slade. I mean, I'm fine with them getting rid of Slade, but I'll take you got some assets. That's all I'll say. You got some assets. I like what you did with getting a lot of draft picks. So let's see what you do with those extra assets because it's all about the draft in the first place. So I just think that we'll see. But you heard the negative thing. We'll see what the team does. Like, I'm going to believe in this team no matter how successful we are if the defense is the best unit on the team. Offense, I know we got Stafford special teams. Defense this year has to be the best unit on the team because that's Matt Patricia's forte.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I could definitely agree with that. Andrew, so there's a lot of moves, made this free agency, tons of moves. We pretty much have an entirely overhauled defense. So, based off the moves we made in free agency, how would you grade this offseason so far? And, give me one positive move and one negative move that you didn't like.
All right, first off, I want to say we got 35 people watching and only 14 likes. Come on, y'all, show some love. I'm a B+, borderline A-. And let me break this down to you. All right. For one, we signed a crap ton of people, like you said. We got rid of a lot of people that either wanted big contracts, were injured, were not performing, or just overall weren't a good fit, right? I'm not even going to touch on the coaching side of things. I'm just going to go from what we did in free agency. We got rid of a lot of crap, and we brought in players that have performed well for other teams, are better scheme fits, are younger, are cheaper, and are just as talented or maybe a little bit less in certain aspects, or even potentially a little bit better. So the reason why I give it a B+ is because you brought in Collins, which Collins, he's a Pro Bowl level linebacker. He can play in the pass coverage. He can rush the quarterback. He can do a lot of things, very versatile, so he's obviously my pick of my favorite free agency signing. You address the defense as a whole, man. I mean, complete overhaul. You were an awful, piss poor defense last season. And as a Lions fan, that hurts me to say. But if I'm speaking honestly, we were so pathetic defensively. It was hard to watch at times. So the fact that you overhauled the D line, you overhauled the linebacker core, the secondary, like you made a lot of changes. And that's why I'm giving them a very good grade, because our biggest weakness was defense. Something that was not as good, was what they did on the offensive line. I didn't think Graham Glasgow was as good as everyone said, and Rick Wagner was, whatever, but they brought in Big V, and there's a lot of speculation around him, so obviously there's not as much film and experience on him, but there's still enough to where, you can be a little bit hopeful. But I honestly, like, everyone's been saying, it's been an awful free agency. It's not that great, whatever. But I've been like very optimistic about this the whole time. And hopefully I can start skewing you guys, because if I really broke down into it, I think that our team has improved significantly. And I think the biggest need we needed was defensive, on the defensive side of the ball. And that's what we addressed. But if they went and got out one more just beast, like if they were able to get Yannick or Chris Jones or someone, which they very well could with the amount of cap and picks we have, then I think that gives us enough pieces to really make a run.
All right, yeah. I
was
mean,
gonna say that, I think the difference in this team is literally going to be Stafford being healthy and him not being healthy. The defense will be better next year because it can't get any worse. And we traded in a lot of players. And I mean, the one move that I think that was like, I still can't believe it, is getting Duron Harmon, because I watch a lot of Patriots games, because I love Tom Brady. I know most people hate him, so what? But he's a very, very good player for what we got him for. So hopefully that can help us out.
And for those of you that don't know, I read an article about Duron Harmon and Diggs, and on a snap per snap basis, they pretty much performed very similar. Like they're at kind of the same level, and we got him for cheaper, and he's not, potentially a locker room problem and all the other crap that kind of arose throughout the season.
yeah, no, I'm 100%. I'm honestly with both of you guys, because I can see the positives with Andrew. I can see the reservations with JMO. I see it both ways right now, and it's just gonna be super interesting to see how this goes. But JMO, I mean, I think we all agree the biggest positive from this offseason is that Stafford is getting healthier and that he's gonna be there to play hopefully all 16 games next season, and that'll definitely be what makes this team, because this team rides or dies with Stafford for sure. But okay, so we covered one thing for sure, right off the top, and that was the Darius Slay trade. So yeah, we traded away Darius Slay. It seemed like that relationship was broken based off of the comments he said about Patricia, and I mean, I guess what Patricia said about him first, and him going to First Take and all that. So it seems like the relationship was broken and it wasn't going to be mended, and he was not going to re-sign once his contract was up. So really they had two options, which was to play out his contract and maybe franchise tag him and get nothing for him in the end, but possibly have 1 to 2 years with him on the team, or they could have traded him and they got a 3rd round pick out of it. I think both sides are happier right now, because it looks like the relationship was just too toxic, and Patricia clearly, he needs his guys. His system won't work with other people that don't believe in his scheme, apparently. So, hopefully both sides are better in the end. But what I'm trying to get at is, how comfortable are you guys with our current secondary? So that would be Trufant, Amani Oruwariye, Justin Coleman, Tracy Walker, Duron Harmon, and Will Harris switching in there as a rotational safety. So how do you guys feel currently about this secondary, and where do you think the improvement needs to be made in the draft? Let's start off with you, Andrew.
I mean, for me, it's hard because you have a lot of moving pieces. I think Harmon will end up starting at our safety position, and obviously Trufant will be our number 1, which is a big change, But the problem is that if we don't get enough pressure on the quarterback, I'm not confident in these guys' ability to maintain man coverage for 6+ seconds. I don't care if, you get, if you get a Kuda and you go and bring in Jalen Ramsey and you go get Marcus Peters, and I don't care what cornerbacks you have, what safeties you have, if the pocket is clean for more than 3-4 seconds, our secondary is going to get torched. So I think I'm fairly confident with them overall.
Okay, that's fair. That didn't sound too convincing, but I get your point.
It's hard because when you're looking at just the secondary, as a whole, I think our defense got better. But if you look at just the secondary, if our pass rush didn't improve, it doesn't matter how good we improved in our secondary. They're going to get lit up.
Okay. I mean, that's fair, but, when we're talking about the departure of Darius Slay, that guy's locked down our secondary for years. He's been a staple of our defense, a captain on our team, and really the shining star of our defense for years. So, JMO, with the departure of Darius Slay and our current, secondary, how it is, how comfortable do you feel going into the season like this, and where do you think we need to address it in the draft?
I mean, I like our secondary coming into this year. I mentioned the Deron Harmon signing, but a lot of things. Our secondary really got injured after like 5 weeks. Everybody got hurt, including Slay. I mean, once Tracy Walker went out, our defense got like really, 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 really bad. Like, because Tracy Walker was having a breakout year, man. And like our defense, like, because we replaced him with like Will Harris and Tavon Wilson. Oh my gosh. Like, no. And and then we lost Diggs on top of that. So you just lost your 2 starting safeties and you replaced them with guys who shouldn't be starting. What do you think is gonna happen to your defense? Slay being gone is a big deal, but Trufant, he'll be good enough. I mean, it's a lot of teams that don't have that number 1 elite corner that still can have, good secondaries. Just think about looking at the Packers last year. I know Zaire Alexander is pretty good, but he's not established as elite yet. Their secondary is very solid with Darnell Savage and him and Kevin King. So I think we got a lot of good young players. I definitely think Amani Aworiye is going to improve and have an impact in the secondary. I think Justin Coleman is much better than what he showed at times, because you had him covering out receivers on the outside, and every time he did, he got torched. So why would you keep putting him on the outside, Paul Pasqualoni? Why? He can't play out there, but in the inside, he's still very, very good. So, and he made a lot of plays for us last year, and I think he'll continue to do that. It's just in the draft, I don't really want to draft a safety. I want to see what we got, because we drafted Will Harris and Tracy Walker back-to-back years. So we're gonna have to see what they can do. And we besides Deron Harmon, we got a lot of people that can play safety. But I think we'll be fine. I won't say we'll be elite, but we'll be fine. And it's mainly about the front 7 for me, though. Kind of what Andrew was saying. It's really about the front 7. I think they'll be fine if the front 7 is fine.
So do you think Simmons will be playing linebacker or safety?
Yeah.
I knew this was gonna come up from what you were saying.
Yeah, I know. Man. I think because I think Reggie Ragland, really, to me, like, and I love Jared Davis more than the average fan probably, so I have to see him actually get better. But I feel like we only got 2 good linebackers, Jamie Collins and Jelani Tavai. I feel like everybody else is average or below. So we still need somebody like Simmons. I mean, of course, they're going to switch Simmons, but I think, this is just my personal opinion, I think he would be a better player if he was a linebacker than a safety. I mean, being in safety, he'll probably get a lot of interceptions, but I think as a linebacker, he could be a really, really dominant player, because he can go through all the linebacker slots, and then sometimes you can put him like in the slot as a corner. But I think that because since we got Tracy Walker back there, and they want Tracy Walker to be able to roam free, I think he should be a linebacker. But he's definitely going to play safety still, regardless.
Right. Yeah. No, I'll just go to you, Mike. I'll go last. Mike, so, given Darius Slay's departure, it's, our secondary is what it is right now. We've filled in a stopgap at Trufant with a 2-year deal. We still have Coleman. We have Amani, who's looking solid, and our safeties, look iffy. But we got Deron Harmon in a trade. So how comfortable are you with our secondary currently, and what area do you feel like we need to address in the draft?
We definitely upgraded in safety. When Diggs gone to Seattle, our secondary really took a big time hit. Obviously, Harmon is better than what we got right now, and I think we will continue to have solid play at the safety position as long as injuries are not a factor again this year. And when it comes to our cornerback play, we got Amani Aworiye, we got Trufant, we got Coleman, and we're probably getting Jeffrey Okudah with the 5th or 6th pick when we trade back from 3 to 5 or 6. So those names seem fairly good to me. But the issue is not the names or the talent that they have. It's the defensive line and the pressure that we need to get. Last year, we had no pressure, and we got torched. It is really imperative for this team to focus on this defensive line, focus on people to get after the passer. Because, again, if they sit back there for 7-8 seconds, it doesn't matter who the hell is there. Going to get torched. So if we can pick up a late first-round pick or maybe a couple seconds for trading back and get a Gallimore or get someone in there that can at least get after the passer a little bit more, I think our secondary immensely will be better. We just got to get pressure. That's the key, guys. It doesn't matter who's back there. If you don't get pressure, they're going to get lit. So if we get pressure and mix it up a little bit with a little more blitzes, unlike last year, I think the secondary will be fine.
Yeah, I'm definitely I'm a mixture of all you guys for sure, because I agree that I think we'll be fine if we improve the pass rush. Our pass rush couldn't have been any worse than it was last year. It was absolutely awful, and that's mainly due to the injuries that we had all throughout the line, and that is what it is. So I think that our pass rush is definitely going to get better by default just because of health, and then I think that our secondary will look better than last year. But it is scary to think that our best guy's Trufant, he has injury history. And, Amani, he's good, but he had limited snaps. I'm sorry?
I said, I don't know if he's our best guy, though.
Okay, well, fine. Well, let's say this then. He's, definitely going to be a starting cornerback, and he has an injury history. Our other starting outside cornerback is Amani. He's had limited snaps. We haven't seen him with a large population of snaps to really gauge how good of a player he is. And he fell to the 5th round of the draft, and we don't really know why, and he's looking like he was a huge steal, but we're not 100% certain. There's no way to know for sure until we see the actual film and more snaps. So that's definitely a question mark. And then on top of that, Coleman is a liability on the outside. He's great on the inside, but as soon as somebody got hurt like Slay and they put him on the outside, he was a liability. So and am I happy with after Diggs got traded, our secondary, our safeties looked terrible, especially when Tracy Walker was hurt as well. If Tracy Walker's healthy, I think I'm comfortable with him and Harmon, but that's a question mark as well. So, it's definitely iffy on both sides. I can see both points. I'm very happy with who we have right now, currently sitting in our starter positions, but it's just definitely question marks, and hopefully we can stay healthy. But yeah, moving on to the draft, I think that getting Simmons or Okudah will definitely help our secondary tremendously, and both of them look like they're going to be studs in the league. So I'm excited to see what happens. Okay, but moving on to our next question. Okay, so given all the moves that we've already made in free agency, so take all that into account, what position currently do you think the Lions have to secure in the draft, whether it be guard, D tackle, cornerback, whatever you guys want? What do you think we should do? And it could be either be with an early pick to secure it. So if you think it's cornerback, you can choose Okudah, or double down with some later round picks to really secure it. What do you guys think? Let's start with you, Mike.
Usually I always say defensive line, so I'll leave that to somebody else, but I'm going to go ahead and say right guard or right tackle, just depending on where Big V plays. I think we have to be able to run the football, and right now we have a nice hole where Glasgow is sitting, and generally we weren't doing the greatest when it comes to running the football. For us to win football games, we must run the football. We have to keep Stafford upright. Stafford goes down, season's over. If we can't run the football, we're going to lose games. They got to be able to secure the guard spot, and not with the top pick in the first round. They could do a late first round pick or a second round pick, but they must address that position. It is so important. It's so important to run the football. And if we can't do it, guess what, guys? It's called another rebuild, and Patricia and Quinn will be gone, because if we can't run the football, we're not going to be winning a lot of football games.
Mike, did I skew you from the last roundtable? Did I change your
No,
he didn't say an early pick. He said not. Later.
I said late first round pick, early second. I've been on the right guard position since last season, just not in the first round or the third overall pick. If we go in a late first round pick, if we get a 26th pick overall, hey, I'm all for it. You can pick good guards in the late first round, in the second round. They are there to pick. You don't have to pick one with the third pick in the draft.
Yeah, no, See, me and you, Mike, we're in sync right now for sure because I'm 100% with you. My pick would be a guard. We need a guard really bad unless we're moving Big V to guard. In that case, we need a tackle really bad. So I'm with you on that, and I'd be comfortable taking one in the with our second round pick, or if we traded back and we have a really late first round pick there, or doubling down later with like two, a fifth and a sixth round pick, or like maybe that's too low, fourth and fifth round pick. I don't know. Just doubling down. We really need to secure that guard spot because Joe Dahl's our number one guard right now. That's that's terrible. But JMO, what do you think? What position would you like the Lions to secure in the draft? Any way you want
it. I mean, it's more of a player, not a position. But I did want to say something about Amani. Yeah, the reason his stock fell is because apparently he didn't play well in the Senior Bowl, and I don't know any other cornerbacks in the Senior Bowl, but I'm pretty sure he played better than them now. And Marlos Landing had a good comment. Amani got an interception off of Aaron Rodgers. Slay's never done that. But back to the position. We need a running back, man. Like, I need them to get another running back and a running back that's going to have a big impact. I'm perfectly fine with Kerryon, but he needs a running mate to run with so we can have a two-man tandem. I don't like that using three. I think you just need to have two very good running backs. The only workhorse running backs is really like Zeke and Derrick Henry. You could say Saquon, but his production goes down when he gets all of them carries. So I think we need to get a running back that's going to have an impact, a running back that's elite catching passes out the backfield, and that can just come in day one and just be great. And I know we definitely need guards and all those other positions, and we definitely need pass rush. But we got to get this running back position solved. I mean, and we can get all the guards and all of this, but eventually we're going to need to get this running back position solved. I'm trying to win a division. And you're not winning the division if you ain't running over the rest of these teams. So, because we've seen Stafford get protected sometimes and we still not win games. Besides last year, because he won every game he didn't get sacked in. But I think we really need a running back, like very badly. I don't know if I'll get one in the second. I might get one in the third because get the guard. But that's a position that we have to get correct in this draft. We have to get that position correct. I'm not really worried about the first round because I know we'll end up with an elite prospect that actually will produce. So I'm more worried about the third and fourth round.
Facts.
Because I don't know. When we took Will Harris, I still don't know what we were doing then, and it was completely shocking to me. So, and when we took Austin Bryant, the same thing. So we got to get those two picks right.
Okay. All right. Yeah. See, I'm not 100. If you watch our show, yeah, I'm not 100% with you on the running back pick, man. Like, I truly believe that it's our O-line that needs to be fixed before we invest in a running back. I think that we need to know what Bo, Scarborough, and Kerryon can do with a serviceable O-line, because their O-line, it was less than okay last year, and I think that we need.
You're still gonna have to get a running back. We don't have any on contract. Kerryon contract is about to be up, and Bo is just a random undrafted guy. You're gonna need another running back.
You have him for this year? I don't know. I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable with them going into this year. Get an undrafted guy. Hopefully, you could hit on it like the San Francisco 49ers did, or the Kansas City Chiefs did this year when they were in the Super Bowl with two undrafted running backs running over each other. And I don't know. I think that we need to invest as much capital into our O-line rather than into running backs. But that's just me. I mean,
you can do both, but why the Lions got to be the only team without a stud at running back?
How are we the only team, though? How are we the only team?
Can do it. Every other team can go out and get their studs at running back, but the Lions, nah, we good. Like, come on, man. It's time.
The Lions suck at all these other positions, though. Like, that's
not true.
Yeah.
But some positions need to be filled, and we need more talent at running back.
Okay. I get what you're saying, JMO. I think it comes down to even when you look at the elite running backs, like Bell and Saquon, when their O-line doesn't play well, they look like shit. So, I don't know, man.
Yeah, well, Andrew, we're going to you next. So, what do you think? What position do you feel needs to be, secured? Whether it's a double down in the later rounds or with our number 3 overall pick. What position do you think needs to be secured given our offensive moves that we made so far?
Yeah, I mean, I totally want to say what Mike said, so I'm kind of pissed that I have to go after him, but I'm going to change it up, all right? I want to say outside linebacker. And I say this because I've talked so many times about linebackers being such an important, role on the defense. They kind of really set the tone. And if we get an outside linebacker in our scheme that can rush the passer as well as play in coverage, I think that will drastically impact our defense's plays. Because when you look at Trey Flowers, he's pretty good DN. He gets double teams, but outside of that, we need a good presence that can actually rush the passer at a high level. And people, see, Funky Nuts knows. He wants Zach Bond. I would love Zach Bond. The dude had double-digit sacks. He's an outside linebacker. He can also play in coverage. So I want someone that can be, that dual threat that can, play in the secondary as well as be able to rush the passer. And we just got Jamie Collins, which like I said, is my favorite signing. But I think we need a little bit more of a presence in our linebacker core.
All right. All of your guys' picks were great. We have holes at all of those positions, so we definitely need to secure all of them. But there's one position that none of us have brought up, and that's D tackle.
Facts.
So Snacks Harrison is gone. Ashawn Robinson. I don't know why I just blanked on his name. I love that guy. But Ashawn Robinson's gone. Look, we had no D tackles coming into this offseason besides Deshaun Hand. And then we go and get Danny Shelton on a cheap deal. Looks like a great pickup, in my opinion. But there's a guy in the draft who retweeted one of the Lions tweets, and it's Javon Kinlaw. He's pretty much proposing that the Lions should draft him with the 3rd overall pick. So if the Lions are to trade back, and let's say Simmons and Okudah are gone, would you guys be disappointed if Kinlaw was the pick at number 5 or 6 or wherever? Let's start off with you,
6.
Mike. Yeah.
Holy smokes. Well, if Simmons or Okudah is gone, someone else could be there. I mean, wouldn't Chase Young be there? I mean, holy smokes. I mean, that would have to be a lot of players gone. I mean, Derek Brown would have to be there. If we traded back a little bit more, I think I'd take Javon Kinlaw. I love the defensive tackle. I like Derek Brown as well. Oh, man. That would be extremely difficult to make a choice like that because there's so many needs on this defense, but you're 100% right, man. Defensive tackle is probably the biggest need, and that's why I left it for somebody else to say. And if we could get a Derek Brown or a Kinlaw, if you're getting Kinlaw, I want another pick in the 1st round via trade back. But that would be a great pick, man. I mean, this guy can get after the quarterback and stop the run. It would dramatically help our linebacking core and our secondary out. It is so important to have that big fella on that defensive line. And if you can get him plus another 1st round pick, whether it be a guard late in the 1st round or pick up a couple 2nd round picks, I would be happy with that, man, because you could really change a whole team with adding extra picks and getting a big body on that defensive line to help out the linebackers, to help out the safety and cornerbacks. Because if you don't have a defensive line, we've seen what the hell happened to us last year. You get 8 up from the floor up, and we were tore up. And if we get a guy like that, that would put a smile on my face.
Absolutely. And honestly, Patricia better have gotten a good look at this guy because he was at the Pro Bowl and he was on the opposite team of Patricia, but our scouts better have been there looking at his weekly preparation and seeing how it goes. I don't think he even played in the Pro Bowl because I think he got hurt during practice. But
Senior Bowl.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Why am I saying Pro Bowl? Senior Bowl.
Because
Thank you,
you're seeing the future, and if
exactly. He's gonna be a Pro Bowler on the Lions. Exactly. So, JMO, we're going to you. Would you be disappointed if the Lions drafted Javon Kinlaw?
If it was 5th overall, yes. If it was 6th overall, yes. If it was 7th overall, yes. If it was like 13th, I'm cool.
Yeah.
But he's not above my board on Derek Brown, Okudah, Chase Young, Isaiah Simmons. Like one of those 4 players are gonna be there. No, if we're trading down to 5, and I want one of those guys. Whether it's Okuda, Derek Brown, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I like Kinlaw. I like that Kinlaw shooting his shot, man. You always got to shoot your shot. But no, I'm sorry. Not at 5. That's not something that I would be happy with because I'm assuming we're passing on one of those other guys that I just mentioned. And
Facts.
I mean, I know some people like Kinlaw over Derek Brown, but I don't see it. Derek Brown to me is a beast. I don't care what combine numbers said because combine numbers made Okuda's stock fall down, and he was supposed to be the greatest prospect ever. So I could care less about his combine stuff. Of course, combine stuff had Isaiah Simmons stock go up, but I was already sold on Isaiah Simmons after they played in the playoffs. So I mean, but no, I'm not taking him at 5 or 6 or 7, but like 13th, 12th, maybe 10th. But that's as far as I would go down. And I don't even know what teams we will be trading back with, but I don't even want to trade back in the first place. So to me, Kinlaw is just not in the plans that I think the Lions should be doing because I think they should stay at 3 and take that elite talent and move on.
Yeah. I think a lot of fans agree with you there. Andrew, what do you think? What do you think about Kinlaw? Would you be happy to take him because he's a guy that clearly wants to come to Detroit and be picked 3rd overall? Or would you agree with JMO that that's way too high?
Dude, when I look at like the NFL draft, I look at it how I draft in fantasy football. You want to get the best talent over, like, okay, everyone that said Hawkinson should have went at 8 should be saying the same shit here in this scenario, that Kinlaw should not go at 3, Kinlaw should not go at 5, shouldn't go at 8, because there's talent even at his own position that is above him. There's no reason to reach that far. You could get a better offensive tackle. And when you look at position to position, you could get even a wide receiver position to position. And don't get me wrong, I do not want a receiver in the first round, but I'm saying like it's not worth taking him that early. If you were to trade,
Andrew, that's an amazing point you just made, man. I gotta give you credit, man. Like, you could get I'm serious. You could get one of them. Hey, I wouldn't take Judy. I would take him over Kinlaw though, but I wouldn't take some of them. You right, man. You 100% right.
Yeah, but I'm saying like there's no reason. Like when I look at fantasy football, like damn, let's say the 10th overall running back is still available. But you're looking at the number 1 tight end or the number 1 quarterback or even like number 3 wide receiver. Why would you go out and get the guy that's ranked lower? There's no reason to. So in this scenario, no, I'm not taking Kinlaw in the top 10.
All right. Okay. So I think we all agree here that, based off of what the analysts are saying and the film that we've seen and so on, that he's not necessarily a top 5 pick. But let me throw this at you guys. Okay. Every single year we see the draft process go on throughout the offseason, and we see mock draft 1.0 all the way to mock draft, 30.0, right? And all of these people making their mock drafts, and they change so much, and the draft boards change. And then once you get there, it's almost a whole different draft board. And then once people are drafting, random people are being taken in the first round that you've never heard of. Doesn't make any sense. So my question to you guys is, all of that gets factored in when the scouts go out and they go to these guys' pro days, they go and have meetings with them. They, obviously go to the combine, Senior Bowl, and so on. Okay. But with this coronavirus outbreak, and we're not able to go to pro days anymore, a lot of players didn't even go to the combine because they were planning on performing at their pro day to get, and talk to scouts and talk to teams and so on and coaches. And, you guys get what I'm saying. So my question to you guys is this: with that not happening and all these GMs have a lack of information compared to other years, do you guys trust Bob Quinn to be savvy enough to overcome that and kind of capitalize on the other GM's misinformation? Or do you think he is in the same boat as them and that he, is going to suffer as well from this lack of information? Why don't we start off with you, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think it's going to be Bob Quinn in this scenario. I think a lot of it is going to come down to how much our coaches and scouts are relaying the information they do have. So when you look at things, the Bengals and the Lions coaching staff, they're the ones that got to coach the Senior Bowl. So as far as all those prospects, we have a huge advantage. You know, we got to see them practice. We got to see them, you know, their workout, their characteristic, you know, their character, all that stuff. Like, we got to see it firsthand. So that is such a huge advantage. So being able to take all that information on all the players that our coaching staff, you know, was coaching and practicing with and all that, that's huge, because we have people that are going to be ranked a lot higher than other teams and a lot lower than other teams. So it's going to help us, you know, make those decisions whether or not we like someone that performed well on tape throughout a whole season, or, you know, we actually got to see them practice. We got to see that, oh man, they don't give 100% on every play. That game, like tape, that doesn't really show who they really are, or, you know, whatever it is. So I think it's really going to come down to how well our coaches and scouting team are going to inform Bob Quinn of what's best for our team. So, and I have good confidence in them, because when you look at what everyone was saying about Matt Patricia at the Senior Bowl, everyone loved him. We know he won the game, you know, well, their side won the game, you know, and there was a lot of talent on our side. So I think we're at a huge advantage. And I think that the Lions can definitely take advantage of it and hit in the draft.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in with my opinion. I agree with you, Andrew. I think that the Lions are at an advantage. And Lions Lee says something very important. He says the Senior Bowl is an automatic advantage on top of regular scouting. Nobody knew at the time how big of an advantage this would be. I get that, you know, the Senior Bowl doesn't really matter. It literally is a meaningless game. But you have so much information on all of those players that all of those other scouts might not have. And now they can't really compensate for it, because they don't have the pro days. They don't have these meetings. They can't meet up with players. So I think it's a huge advantage, because we got that out of the way before all this stuff started. And we knew kind of the scope of what guys we wanted to look at. And on top of that, I think I do trust in Bob Quinn. I like the moves that he's made. I loved him getting Amani Oruwariye. I feel like every single draft, I see these players fall in the draft, and the Lions never take them. Well, last year, the Lions did it. The Lions took Amani, and I was screaming it in the 4th round. I was yelling. I was like, this guy was supposed to be a 2nd-round pick. Take him. And they didn't take him. They passed on him, and then they grabbed him in the 5th round. I was so happy. So I think Bob Quinn really knows what he's doing. Getting Deshaun Hand as well, that was a stud late in the draft. I think that let's not forget his job on the Patriots, you know, all the Patriots ties we always talk about with him. He was the head of scouting there for years. So, you know, I agree with you, Andrew. It is all about scouting. And like, since all these other GMs don't necessarily have all the resources they do every year, I think we have a huge advantage because of the Senior Bowl and the fact that Bob Quinn is savvy enough to take advantage of those other GMs' lack of information. What do you think, JMO?
You know, I have my own gripes about Bob Quinn, but I've said this a million times, and I'll continue to say it. One area I trust Bob Quinn is drafting. Say whatever you want about Jared Davis. I mean, your other choice was Reuben Foster. Have fun with that. And I know TJ Watt was selected later, but he was nowhere near high on the board. Every person was talking about Reuben or Jared Davis. But regardless of that, I think he's a great drafter. You mentioned some of the late draft picks. I mean, every draft, like you said, we have some gem that we stole. Kenny Galladay, I would say Tracy Walker. He was a 3rd-round pick, but like, man, because you know, they did from the year that Kenny Galladay drafted, they like redrafted everybody, and he was 7th overall. That year, if you redraft Tracy Walker, he going in the 1st round. I don't know where, but he's a 1st-round talent from that draft. So. And then I'm looking at, obviously, you guys said the Senior Bowl, but like, whenever I hear about like teams scouting other teams, or, you know, there are scouts at this player's event or this player's event, it's always some Lion scout there. I'm telling you, every time. Bob Quinn is always, you said he was a head scout, and we know this. I'm telling you, I could hear about a random player. Like, I could hear about freaking Tua, and it's a Lion scout there. Like, it don't matter what player it is, it's always some Lion scout there. So whether it was like for O-lineman at Michigan or whatever, they're always there. And I know that he has a scouting department, do a lot of due diligence. And the one main reason why I don't think this affects the Lions as much is because we picking at 3. Now, if we were picking at 15, we probably would be in a little bit of trouble because now that we're picking at 3, all the players that didn't go to the combine, it's gonna hurt them a little bit. And like you can see Chase Young stock fall just because Isaiah Simmons had a great. I mean, he blew the combine out of the water on top of already being a top 5 prospect. So, and when we at 3, the fact is when we at 3, it's gonna be easy. We'll just pick one of the elite talents. We don't have to overthink it. We might not even trade back. You can see somebody like Derrick Brown fall out of the top 10 and still be one of the best players from this draft class just because of things like the combine. Like AJ Espinoza didn't do the best in the combine, so he might fall out of the first round. And then you got Mickey Becton. Like, I mean, pulling trucks and then blowing out the combine. So it's just like, I mean, my man was jogging with a truck, bro. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I want a guy like that protecting Stafford, bro. But I just think our draft position, the Senior Bowl, and Bob Quinn and his savviness and the amount of research he does all plays into us having an advantage over a lot of other teams. But especially we at 3, we don't really have to overthink it. Like, if you're calling me and you're not offering me your house, your mama house, and your daddy house for the third pick. Like, I want all the mansions. I need all your land. I need 40 acres and a mule. If you ain't offering me all that for that third pick, I'm hanging up the phone. I'm taking Isaiah Simmons or Chase Young or Okudah or anybody else. So I think it's very easy for the Lions. I'm telling you, if they ain't offering a sweet offer, I mean, we didn't trade Darius Slay because we wanted 2 first-round picks. I don't know how delusional they were, but that's how much we wanted for Slay. What you think we're going to want for the 3rd overall pick? We're going to want everything. So I think they're going to stay at 3, and I don't think this will affect us. But if we were at 15 or something, then it would be a little bit murky because the draft board, after the top 7 players, the draft board probably gets really murky. And then now teams are just going to start making decisions off of what their board says and not what actually might be the best player if you were able to do more research and meet with the players and go to their pro days and find out, Chase Young didn't do his pro day. For all we know, his pro day would be the greatest pro day we ever seen.
Right.
He might go number 1 overall. But it's over now. So now you just got to be like, well, Chase Young's pretty good. I'm just going to take him. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I'm 100% with you. And I wasn't necessarily thinking that it would affect us with the 3rd overall pick, but more like with our, later round picks, our 2nd round pick, just like you said, guys that might have risen their stock after the combine. They're not rising their stock right now because there's no pro days or anything. So guys might be falling to the 2nd round. We're the 3rd pick in the 2nd round. We're the number 35 pick. Guys that might have been definite 1st round picks might fall to us because of the lack of information from the other GMs. And yeah, I totally agree with you that all of our scouts are always there. Like, hell, we drafted Jelani Tavai in the 2nd round. The dude was from Hawaii. Well, who's going to Hawaii to scout this guy? The Lions. It's only the Lions.
The Lions and Bill Belichick. The only team.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, Mike, what do you think about this with the lack of information because of this pandemic going on? What do you think? Do you think Bob Quinn is savvy enough to kind of capitalize on this, or do you think that we're gonna kind of suffer from it as well?
He best be savvy enough, or he's gonna be out of a job. We are set up really well in this draft to really get some quality players to join this roster and make a difference. If you screw up the 3rd overall pick or if you trade back and screw it up, well, you're gone. But the guy has eyes. Just because you're not there for the pro day doesn't mean he can't look at the film. Simply watch the film. These guys have been scouting these players all year during the college season. It's not like it's something new. If myself, who got 3 draft picks right last year, a guy on DSA Roundtable, just a YouTuber, then Bob Quinn, who makes millions, and his scout team can get a quality draft in with all the players. He will, I think we'll be fine, but he's got to hit a grand slam. He can't go soft. He's got to be a little aggressive in this draft. We got to be able to get a blue chipper on defense. We got to be able to solidify that offensive line. And we have the picks to do it, man. We got 9 draft picks. We got 2 third-round picks, a 2nd-round pick, a high 1st-round pick, and probably more if we do some trade backs. So I am not worried at all about them not hitting on talent. Even when you can scout people, he screwed up with Tease Tabor. So it's one of those deals where, to me, just because of COVID happened, I'm not too worried about it. I think we have an advantage over other teams with the Senior Bowl. But hell, man, I think we'd be okay. I think we're going to get some quality players in this draft. I'm super excited because this will finally complement the free agency. A lot of people were unhappy what took place, but I think this draft, Bob Quinn is going to do some razzle dazzle, put some players on this team that will help us get victories and make our roster much, much better. So I'm excited for it. And yes, I'm confident he's going to do a fine job.
And, I mean, something about that is that so many people are like, Bob Quinn drafts well. I think Bob Quinn does really well at the draft, and it's usually in the later rounds. So my thing is that we need to hit with our first 2 picks. I mean, you got the 3rd overall pick. Even if you trade that back, you have a top 10 pick. So you need to get someone that's going to be dominant. It usually takes a while for those later round picks to actually, get a starting role and perform, because teams invested so much more in the higher picks that sometimes, even though they're not performing, they ride it out. So he needs to hit with these first 2 picks. And even if you trade back, and you get a couple extra picks later on, that's even better, because we have all those people from the Senior Bowl that I'm sure he would love to draft.
I just want Bob Quinn to be aggressive, because we got like 9 draft picks. Why don't we just say, no, you know what? We're going to draft 4 players this year and they all going to be studs.
Facts.
Wow. Like,
right.
I don't care about these 9 draft picks. We draft 7 players. Like,
Facts.
why don't you move up and give up some of these picks? Like, I'm perfectly fine with them getting 4 players in 4 rounds, all high picks.
I am
like,
too, man.
Seriously, like, get the studs. Like, trade up, give up your 3rd and your 4th and maybe your 6th and another 4th, and get back into the 2nd round or something. Just do something crazy to get the best talent on this team to have the biggest impact. Now, we know Bob Quinn drafts late very well, but if he can move, like, we got the 35th pick, if he can move up into the 2nd round again, and it would take giving up a 3rd round pick or a 4th round pick or something like that, because I think we got 2 3rd round picks.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with us getting 4 draft picks out this draft and letting them all be studs. But, I just want them to be aggressive, because we got to go get these players. Like,
we've been monotone throughout the years. It's time to be aggressive this draft. We had players we drafted last year that didn't even make the team. So put some of these players, put some of these picks that you got, 2 5ths, 2 3rds. Take your 3rd and a 5th, move up back in the 2nd round. I mean, pick up, be aggressive. Don't sit back. No more salty sitting there like a sardine. We're gonna get the damn quality players, and we're gonna be aggressive.
You can move back up in the 1st if you got the 35th pick. Move up 3 spots to 32, and get J.K. Dobbins. Like, what are you doing?
Remember when Minnesota Vikings got 3 first-round picks because they kept moving up? That's what I want to see from the Lions this year. Be aggressive and get quality players. Who gives a damn about these late picks? I personally don't.
I agree, man. Like, I want us to get 4 studs, and if it's in the first 3 rounds, I'm fine with it. Like, seriously.
Yeah, I'm not 100% with you guys, just because there are early round picks, draft picks that he hasn't hit on, like Tease Tabor and Will Harris. So I'm not 100% convinced that would be a positive if he traded our late round picks, because he ends up finding usually some studs late in the draft. So I don't know if I'm 100% on board with you guys, but it depends how it played out.
Was like, you could tell that was a mistake, and he knew. Like, that was just a mistake.
We all knew it.
Like, everybody knew, like, the Bob was like, oh shit, I kind of fucked this one up. But, like, Will Harris was a little bit out there, but he wasn't that high in the 3rd round. He was like middle to end of the 3rd round. But Tease Tabor, he was just like when he took a long snapper, he was just like, yeah, what was I doing? Like, so I don't think he'll be able to miss like that. Not with the type of positions that we need. So many positions that if we get a cornerback or a linebacker, if we trade up into the 1st, it's either for the best O lineman on the board, the best running back on the board, or the best another defensive player on the board. And if he gets the pick wrong, then we chalk it up to, well, that's what the board said. And moving up to get Jelani Tavai, and I think Jelani Tavai is a solid linebacker as a rookie. So I think he can find some gems because I see the first 40 players of this draft are going to be really, really good. Really good. So I don't think he'll have as much chance to miss because some of these other drafts have been a little bit different.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's fair. And if he could pull that off, I would be super happy, for sure. I just want what's best for the team in the end. But okay, so we've been on for 55 minutes. Guys, this is your time in the chat to shout out any questions you have for anybody, or for all of us. And I know that there were a few questions early on, but that was before this segment. So please, if we didn't answer your questions, which we didn't, we haven't answered any questions, please re-put them in the chat because we're not going to go back all the way and find them. So let us know your questions. But let's start off with this one because this is my question to you guys. So there's a lot of insiders talking about executives that are saying that Tua is falling on draft boards. This is terrible news for us because we obviously want to trade out of 3. And to do that, we need a Tua that's rising up the draft boards. So what do you guys think of this, and how is it affecting our draft plan? Let's start off with you, JMO.
It doesn't affect it at all. I could care less. We were never getting Tua. We were never getting Tua. We were never trading back. That's what we want them to do. That's what we want them to do, but we were never gonna do it. I really don't think, like I was saying earlier, we were not gonna trade back unless you was giving us your house and your car and your job. You had to give us a lot. I know about Quinn. He's not about to trade back for an extra second round pick and an extra third pick. He's like, no, I want a first pick in this draft, and I want a second round pick, and I might want 2 fourth round picks. I need a lot. So when the Bears moved up, they gave up a whole lot. And I just don't think any team with Miami or the Chargers, I don't think they would be willing to move up, especially when Tua is, even if he wasn't falling on the draft boards, he's like a top 8 pick. So if Tua's basically a top 8 pick, and the Lions are basically like, give us your whole life if you want to move up, why would I even move up, especially when they are not going to take a quarterback, and the only quarterback is going to be Joe Burrow. They isn't Miami who's pick 4 right after us?
Giants are pick 4.
Okay, Giants. So and the Giants are not going to take a quarterback either. So the top 4 teams are not taking a quarterback besides Cincinnati. It was never, it was never a thing. I don't know if he's really falling down draft boards, but he's not. I mean, the healthier he gets, the more videos he posts of him running, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, Tua. You know how they do. But
100%.
I don't think it affects us at all, because if we really want to trade down, we're gonna trade down. And if we don't want to trade down, we'll stay where we're at and be fine.
Yeah, okay. That's fair to say. Mike, what do you think about this? Do you think it affects our draft at all? Any trade down scenarios, anything like that?
As long as there is 2 general managers that want Tua Tagovailoa, I don't care less about what the other 30 think. We're not drafting this guy. I'm not taking an injured player. But if you look at free agency, there's 2 teams that have not gotten a quarterback, and there's 2 ones out there, and that's the Los Angeles Chargers and the Miami Dolphins. To me, one of those guys want to get Tua Tagovailoa. They're probably going to compete with each other, and that's all it takes. And if we trade back, hey, I think Miami and the LA will be the teams to do it. I think they're one of those teams is going to have Tua Tagovailoa. I don't know which one, but one of those teams is going to take him. And we're not taking Tua, so I don't give a damn what the other general managers think. As long as we can get a quality haul for moving back from 3 to 5 or 6, I'm happy. But if there is no haul out there, then take the player you want to take. So I'm pretty happy with what's taken place. I could care less if Tua's falling. My opinion, I know this is definitely a minority, is I have Herbert a little higher because Herbert's not injured. And there's teams out there that needs quarterbacks. So I'm completely fine with it. And also, it definitely could be a smoke screen. But at the end of the day, the guy has had 3 surgeries in 3 years. And Rex Ryan said it could have been 5. So thankfully, we're not taking this guy, and we're not going to have the issue of a burden of an injured player.
Okay, I'm going to go real quick. I think it is a problem, and I am definitely disappointed to hear that news. And I think it is a big deal because I wanted a haul. I get that it might have been unrealistic for me to think that, but early on when people were saying that if Tua is healthy, he's a must-take at 3, and all of these teams seemingly needed a quarterback. That was before, obviously, some of the moves were made in free agency, but there's still a few teams that need a quarterback. And if this guy was looking like an all-pro talent at quarterback, then we would get a haul. So I'm just disappointed that that's not the case. And it seems like we're not going to get a haul like JMO and Mike are saying. It seems like that's not going to happen. So it's very disappointing to me. Andrew, what do you think about this news that Tua is apparently dropping on draft boards, according to NFL executives? What do you think about the news and how will it affect the Lions draft?
There's a lot on this, man. I mean, first off, I think it's complete BS. What makes them say that he's starting to drop? All I keep seeing is he's healthy. He's healthy. Oh, he's even healthier than we thought. So, like, there's no reason for him to be dropping down draft boards anyway.
Yeah, man.
Like,
and did you see that video of him working out?
Yeah.
He looked good, too.
Yeah, he's moving just fine.
Like, he looked good. Like,
right.
That's why I agree with you there.
I mean, it's stupid. It's NFL execs pretty much like, man, maybe the Lions are dumb. Maybe, they won't care about it, and then we won't have to trade up to get Tua or some crap. Like, no. Someone is going to take Tua in the top 5, let alone, like, let's say, Chase Young and Burrow both go, top 2, which is expected. Someone doesn't trade up with us, then we get Simmons, or we get whoever the hell we want. So I don't really see this as a lose. You're still going to get a top talent with that 3rd pick. The only thing is that it's not really allowing you to trade back to have more draft capital, which obviously blows, because I'm all for trading back 2 spots to get another first or, a couple seconds on top of that. But I think it's BS. I think it's 100% a smokescreen, and, both Miami and the Chargers want quarterbacks. And it's pretty much, if the Chargers want Tua, there's going to be a trade within the top 5. If they don't want Tua, nothing is going to happen. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's fair. JMO, did you had a question that you wanted to bring up?
Mars Landon asked this question. He said, after Patricia is gone, and that's, I'm gonna say if Patricia is gone, he could be gone, but who knows? We might go 16-0. We don't know. After Patricia is gone, how long are you willing to wait for a winning team? But look, I'm of the belief that if Patricia goes this year, so does everybody else, including Stafford. So I'll have to be waiting for another decade. I'm willing to wait. I'm not saying I'm willing to wait for a decade, but that's just gonna be like it is. It's gonna be like the same Lions teams when we had Kitna and Harrington and Culpepper. We're gonna go back to those days, the dark years, for probably about. I'll be okay with going back to the dark years for maybe 3 years, because I can't see us. I mean, I don't know. We would really have to get lucky in picking a great quarterback. So I can't see us doing that without a top 5 pick. So I would give them a while, because I don't think we'll go back to being 3-4-13 every year, 5-11 every year. Like, we're gonna go straight back to that. So I'm gonna get them a while, because it's gonna take a while. Like, let's be honest, when the Tigers got rid of all of their great players, we've been in the dark years for years now, and we still waiting, and we giving them time. So I'm willing to wait for a while. Any of y'all got something to say about that?
I do for sure, man. I mean, like, when you look at teams that go quarterback every single draft, they suck, dude. Build your entire team and then fill in the quarterback spot. Because let's say you have a beast quarterback. If you don't have a good overall team, you're screwed anyways. So you might as well go defense, offense, running back, whatever it is, and then eventually plug in a quarterback. So I don't think it will take as long as people expect, or at the very least, we'll be around where we're already at. So I don't think it will take that long to rebuild.
Yeah, you don't want to throw whoever our new quarterback is going to be. You don't want to throw him into a dumpster fire just like you did Stafford.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
when you want to do.
Yeah, when you look at the Broncos before they had Manning, they had everything anyone could ever wish for. They plugged in a quarterback, and they went off. I mean, Manning had one of the best years a quarterback could ever have in NFL history. So Until you do something like that, don't even take a quarterback because it doesn't matter who you have. We've seen elite quarterbacks get shit on in their career because they don't have an O-line. They don't have good coaching. They don't have a run game. They don't have receivers. They don't have a defense. Something's missing. So build your team and then plug in a quarterback.
And I'm going to name 2 more teams that did that. One team much more successful than the other, but the Buffalo Bills. I mean, how long have the Bills had an elite defense and we just didn't care about their quarterback? Like the last 4 years? Like the last 4 years, the Bills are like top 7 in defense, number 3 in defense, 5th in defense, but we like they trash. Their quarterback is garbage. They get Josh Allen. I'm not saying I'm the highest on him, but he's good enough. You put him in there, they go to the playoffs. Jimmy G. We watched 49ers be bad for like 5 years straight. First round elite defensive lineman, first round elite defensive lineman, first round elite defensive lineman. You just throw Jimmy G, above average quarterback in there, and now they in the Super Bowl. So I definitely agree with that because one thing I don't want to do is throw the new quarterback into a miserable situation with a trash roster. That's what I don't want to do.
Yeah, it's looking like the DSA is going to go into hibernation for like 3 years. If Patricia's fine.
Yeah, I'm definitely, bro. Like whatever team Stafford get traded to, that's going to be my team. I'm gonna still ride with the Lions, of course, but I'm gonna be like, it's gonna be Stafford. It's gonna be Stafford and the Lions. That's it.
That's true. That'll be definitely interesting, and it'll probably be the Denver Broncos because John Elway just keeps wanting to. He just keeps wanting to bring in veteran quarterback.
But I can see that happening, like for real. He'd be like, "Oh, I can get Stafford just like I got Manning. Oh yeah, let me go get him."
Yeah, or Case Keenum or Joe Flacco or any of all these veteran quarterbacks. Yeah.
Right, either them or the Patriots, bro. I already know.
Right. Okay, let's move on to another question. Unless Mike, did you have something to add to that?
Nope.
Okay, well, let's go to you with this one. So why don't the Lions just extend Kenny Golladay now so they can get the deal cheaper and longer in case he continues to get better and be a top 5 receiver? That's a pretty good question. Mike, go ahead.
They're simply focusing on the NFL draft right now. They're putting all their eggs in the draft basket. They want to make sure that they get this draft correctly. Obviously, not having everyone with them, people at home on their staff, they just want to make sure they get this draft right. After the draft, once that's settled down, once they can go ahead and do player physicals, he'll get extended. I expect that to happen in the summer. Don't worry, Kenny Golladay will be a Detroit Lion for 4 or 5 more years.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I think we all agree with that one. I think they will extend him either before the season or like really early on in the season. They're going to get it done for sure, before the end of this season. Okay, let's move on to okay. I'll just throw this out to anybody who wants to answer this one. Jonathan Taylor or J.K. Dobbins?
Ooh, I'm not taking a running back that high, so neither.
If we have 2 second-round picks, I'll take J.K. Dobbins just because he doesn't fumble the ball as much as Jonathan Taylor. I think holding the ball is the most important part of a running back. You know what happens when you have Famdula Omangada, then we lose football games. We can't fumble the football.
No, definitely. I'm taking J.K. Dobbins because I think he's a faster running back. I don't know like actual combine numbers. If I'm wrong, let me know. But I think he's a faster running back, and he has that open field shiftiness to get past guys. Jonathan Taylor, he definitely can make. I definitely seen him make some great shifty moves, but he's more of a north and south type of guy. J.K. is a guy who can do it all: north, south, east, west, diagonal, back diagonal, like whatever you want him to do, he can do it.
Okay, all right, that's fair. I'll go with your guys' opinions on that because I'm not too informed on either of them. I know they're the top 2 running backs, but yeah, I'm going to go with your guys' expertise on that one. Okay, another question. Let's throw this one to Andrew. Okay, or honestly, anyone who wants to answer this. Can Ty Johnson become a bigger part of the offense next year?
No.
Yes.
I'm with you, Andrew. Yes. Go ahead, Andrew.
Hold up. I want to hear Mike. No, Mike. Why you say no?
Why I say that? Because I totally feel they're going to draft a running back in this draft. That gives you Kerryon Johnson, Bo Scarborough, the guy they draft, and Ty Johnson could not break the lineup when we had nobody. We'd get a running back every week when another one went down, and Ty Johnson was still not getting the touches. So I feel if he can't do it last year when we just kept getting scrubs off the field, he's going to have a hard time doing it now when we draft one.
I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I agree. But my thing is that I've seen Ty Johnson break huge runs, but every single time they got called back because of a holding or something.
Yes.
I mean, it drove me.
Yeah, but
it drove me nuts.
He don't got no vision at all.
Yeah, well, here's
Bo Scarborough came in here with vision and stuff.
Whoa.
Hold on. I'm gonna touch on this real quick. So
I definitely agree with that.
Is Ty Johnson?
Well, you said it. I anticipate you did.
Horrible. He did not have no vision last year. You can't say he did. He didn't.
No, they were running. Oh, sorry, I got loud. I'm sorry. We were running up the gut. Okay, and Bo Scarborough, that's his game. Okay, when we did any kind of zone running to the outside, that's Ty Johnson and Kerryon Johnson's game. Anytime you saw a sweep to the outside, that's where we get the big runs from Ty Johnson and stuff. That's not a lack of vision. That's just he can't run in between the tackles. He doesn't have, the capabilities to do that. But Bo, I feel like Ty is better than Bo at like an outside zone running game.
Yeah,
no, not a run up the middle.
No, but I also feel like that it was literally only 2 times where he had a big run and it got called back, and the other 15 times we put him on the outside zone, he didn't go anywhere. That's my point. I'm not judging him off of going downhill. I'm talking about when we did put him out on the outside zone, he was getting 1 yard or 2 yards, and then he had those 2 plays where big runs got called back, but that was it. I would rather, if using him, gotta use him in the passing game, because when he ran that one route and Stafford got him in the corner of the end zone, that's what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
But if you're not gonna do that, he has to be able to run the football too. That's the thing. And I definitely think we're drafting a running back, and they're gonna take his place along with Bo.
If we draft a running back, this is a different story. But if we keep our running back core how it is, I think we're going to turn Ty Johnson into that Theo Riddick role.
Exactly.
And if our O-line is built in the draft, which I believe they're going to address, then we can run between the tackles a little bit more, potentially, like we want to. Bo is obviously the number one running in between the tackles. Kerryon and Ty are not built for that, So it's hard, I think Ty will definitely get more involved because of his speed alone and his pass catching abilities compared to Bo and Kerryon. But if we draft a running back, I don't see Ty making the team probably.
If Ty makes the team, he's got to do it on special teams. And he's going to have to do it there because it just, in my opinion, we were literally getting scrubs off the heap that would start over Ty Johnson, who was on the team for all the training camp. And I kept saying every game, just play Ty Johnson, and they wouldn't do it. So to me, that just shows what they think about this guy.
They're out here playing J.D. McKissick. And J.D. McKissick balled out last year. We ain't going to do him like that, but they were playing J.D. McKissick. Like, I'm like, why is McKissick on the field? Like, use the rookie. and you said, you want to put him in that Theo Riddick role, but you saying it's easy to beat Theo Riddick. Like, can he actually do that on a consistent basis? Get open against NFL guys? I mean, he's playing Amendola's position and taking snaps away from like Jesse James or Hawkinson in the slot. So he's gonna have to have a huge jump. Like Mike was saying, he's gonna have to be a special teamer or something. Or he's going to have to come out and just be way better than he was last year and become the second running back on the team.
Okay.
Yeah, I see a good question right here, man. Would you guys trade our second round pick for Thuney, I still don't know how to say his name, and re-sign him if the Patriots would take it?
No.
That's a no.
We can get a really great rookie guard in the second round. There's going to be some badass guards in that second round, and it's a high second round pick. We're talking 35 overall. So we're going to get a rookie contract with a young stud. Hell no, I wouldn't do it.
Okay, what pick would you guys do it for?
That second round pick is basically a first round pick. It's basically a first round pick in the second round. So there's no way I'm giving up a first round pick for Thuney.
It's like a fourth max, dude, honestly. Which is sad because obviously they won't go for that, but that's the most I would give.
That's interesting. I would give a third. I'd be happy to give a third because the stats show he's a beast at guard. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen the tape on him, so I don't know 100% if he's a good fit, but if he can do what he did for the Patriots here and be healthy and start all those games so we can finally have continuity on our O-line, that's worth it to me, man. He's a proven player. These draft picks, I get the capital is super important, especially if you do hit, because then you obviously get a rookie. Like a Pro Bowl talent on a rookie contract, which is super important and valuable, but you don't know if it's going to hit. So if you can get a guaranteed guy that's had health and has been a beast for consecutive years, I think that that'd be worth the 3rd round pick. But yeah, I think the 2nd is a little too high. Okay. I'm looking at other questions. Do you guys see any right now?
So Kool-Aid and
make
cornbread.
Sure you guys drop your questions in the chat. Any question that you have, and make sure you guys like that video. We need more likes in the building, man.
Kool-Aid and cornbread asks if any of us can go live later tonight too, because he needs some entertainment at work. So I mean, I don't know if we will, but maybe some of the other DSA members might.
Hey, man, to tell you guys, we're probably going to be adding another show, and possibly another one, because the DSA is growing, and it's important to hear everyone's voices, not just the same people, every single roundtable. And I'm in discussion with Luke G about possibly adding another show. But yeah, I don't know about tonight, though. I'm going to bed early. I got to get up in the morning.
Right. And touching on that, what Mike just said, me and Real are huge fantasy football players. So we'll definitely be doing something with fantasy football once mock draft season starts coming around.
Same.
Yeah, and honestly, guys, we have a lot of members in the DSA. There's, click in the description, click on all their likes. That's a ton of Lions content that you guys can go back. I doubt you guys have seen it all. A bunch of us have released mock drafts. Luke and I had a debate. It's on my channel. Go click on all of these guys. Everybody in the DSA, click on their channel. Obviously, subscribe to them if you're not already, and go through their content. And there's a huge backlog of content. Go watch some stuff, man. If you're bored at work later today, there's tons of stuff for you.
If you want to get a good laugh, watch my reaction to some of those games, because I was getting pissed off.
Absolutely.
I feel that. So Luke posted a question, actually. He said, whose pick is more valuable, the Redskins or the Lions?
The Redskins.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know.
Man,
I don't understand the question.
Damn, that's a really good question.
I think it's definitely the Redskins.
Yeah, I don't.
I agree.
No, because the Redskins can ruin the whole draft, for lack of a better term. They can turn the draft on its head and do something insanely crazy that messes with draft boards. I mean, I know Cleveland Farrell had a solid rookie season, but when the Raiders took him, everybody was like, "Huh? What are you doing?" So what if they take Tua? Then what's gonna happen? Then we got Chase Young and Isaiah Simmons. What if they take Isaiah Simmons instead of taking Chase Young? So I think the Redskins are in the power to turn the draft on its head, at least in the first 10 picks. It mess up a lot of boards, because if they mess around and take Tua,
and then we look great, and their fans will kill them. Because Chase, they expect Chase Young to go to their team, and if they don't, we just sit back and laugh. It just depends, man. Because you know what? If a team wanted to trade up with the Redskins to take Tua, they would have done it already, because they're the 2nd pick in this draft. So just like that happened when they took RG3, they traded up to the 2nd pick way before even the draft started.
Okay.
Yeah. PC Payload, I just want to get this one out of the way. PC Payload, this is you're a Packers fan, right? Had Galladay expressed any interest of not being extended? We're 100% going to extend Galladay. You're going to be facing him until he ends his career.
You're right. Prepare for the torching, man. Get on. Tell Zaire Alexander and Galladay want to see him. What you mean?
Right.
Are you confident in Daniels as Stafford backup? I'm not confident in anybody as Stafford's backup. But yeah.
I'm fine with it, because I'm just happy they didn't go crazy and get a higher paid veteran. That was my worry, man, because I feel like we just need to bolster that offensive line in the running game, and I'm fine with who's ever backup, because I felt like Blau did okay job. I felt like Driscoll did an okay job. My fear was they're going to go pay a veteran a lot of money, and that would have pissed me off.
My bad. BC Payload. Yeah, he said he's born in Detroit. He said don't disrespect him, calling him no cheesehead fan, man.
My bad. I'm trying to find more.
So Luke says this is for you, Real. He asked. Well, I guess he changed it to everybody. But why should the Lions? Why should and would the Lions draft a cornerback in the top 10?
Why should and would?
That's what he said. That's why I stumbled over my words.
Well, that's not to me then, because I would say they shouldn't. So
no,
why
they should? I don't think they will. I don't think they will.
I think they will. I think Okudah is going to be their pick, but not at 3. I think they'll trade to 5 or 6, and the reason is look, we traded Darius Slay and we picked up Collins. We made a trade for a safety. We signed another safety. We signed another linebacker. And I feel like that's the route they're going to go. Personally, out of the 5 individuals who the Lions I would want to take, Okudah is the 5th one. Because I have higher rated in Derek Brown. I have a higher rate in Isaiah Simmons. I have a higher rate in Chase Young. And to me, I just think that's the route they're going to go with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think.
Why though? Because
why? Well,
our draft board is, if we think it's other players than Okudah, why wouldn't they think the same way? And this just nothing that tells me that they're taking a cornerback. It's nothing that they've shown that they're taking a cornerback besides the media saying that we're taking one. That's it. Like, there's nothing pointing to them taking a cornerback. Like, we didn't get Trufant and we had a hole there that I would understand, but we bolstered the secondary with a lot of defensive backs. It's nothing that's showing me that they're going to take a cornerback. It's nothing that's showing me that.
Well, the only thing that shows me that they would take a cornerback is they played so much man coverage last year. And then they got rid of Slay, but then also Melvin was gone. Rashawn Melvin was gone. So if they, and Amani played limited snaps. So even though they got Trufant, I don't know if they're absolutely secure there, given the amount of man coverage they play. But I still agree. I don't think they're going to take a cornerback. That'd be ridiculous.
And that's my pick. I have them trading from 3 to 5 or 6 and taking Okudah. Just what I saw in free agency with all the moves they made at the linebacker position, the safety position, and they got Trufant, but the guy's on a 1-year deal and he's injured and he's 30 years old. So I think they're going to go young, pair him up with Amani for the future. If you look at what the Patriots done in the past, they've always had high-speed cornerbacks. Always. They're always getting man coverage, and he just seems to be the guy that they want to get. Personally, I like Derek Brown a little more. Obviously, Chase Young's my best-rated player for the Lions. Simmons, I think, would be awesome to make the linebacking core extremely high speed. I would love it. But when we talk about Okudah, he is unbelievably agility. He's quiet in his ability to pedal and shuffle outside. Look, he's good at man. He's comfortable getting and playing connected while carrying his routes in the sideline and playing disconnected and trailing his techniques as undercutting and breaking routes. He can play through the frame and disrupt the route and timing. His press is immense. He's got great length. He's extremely chill at the line of scrimmage with the ability to mirror receivers. He can release moves, has unbelievable knack for releasing the moves and understanding where he's being astray. He's able to be aggressive and generate displacement. His ball skills, he can get turnovers. That's something that we need, is legitimately good. He's explosive leaping ability, ideal length, timing to address the ball at the high point. That's something that we do a lot. He finds the catch point with his frame inside the quickness, consistently creates plays with his physicality and hitting power. His mental processing, I think, is tremendous. The guy is a straight genius in his brain, much faster in understanding what's taking place than I would say a lot of people in the NFL himself. He's still a corner, though. Cornerbacks, it takes a little bit to learn the game. From just what I've seen, though, what they've done in free agency, I just think that he's the guy that they're looking for, that man coverage guy. Initially, I didn't think so, but I initially didn't think we'd be picking up nothing but linebackers and getting a secondary with the safeties either.
I don't know if it dictates that, because we got the best free agent tight end on the market And I remember people were saying, we got Jesse James. Why would we get TJ Hawkinson?
Not me.
Things of that nature. I mean, I didn't say it was you. I didn't say it was you. But people were saying that. And I feel like it's the same way with this. There is nothing that's like Okudah. I know he's a great player. We all know that. But it's nothing that shows me that the Lions are going to take a cornerback. And I don't think they're going to trade back either. But I don't. If they did trade back, they're not. It'd probably be for Chase Young or Isaiah Simmons. It won't be for Okudah. I just don't see any reason why they would take him. I think his O-lineman might be higher on their board than Okudah right now.
I totally agree with that, man. I mean, I keep seeing people comment. There's Young, there's Simmons, there's Okudah, there's Brown. And that's not even including the quarterbacks. So even if we traded to like pick 9, we could still get one of those guys. So I would love for them to trade back and address the position of higher need than cornerback. And I know me and Mike talked about this briefly, and we had differing opinions on the DSA roundtable, but an offensive tackle at pick 3 would be more plausible than a cornerback at pick 3. If you look at how many tackles and offensive linemen that have gone top 3 compared to cornerbacks in the last 20 years, there's like no comparison. Cornerbacks don't get drafted that high, and there's a reason for it. So I just don't see the reason of going out and getting a cornerback that early. If you trade back a couple spots, by all means, cool. He probably could be the best player available at that time. But at pick 3, he is not the best player available, and I would be pretty mad if they took him.
That's why I'm saying we're not staying at 3. And if they took an offensive lineman at 3, I would be furious because Simmons would be on the board, guaranteed, or Chase Young would be on the board, guaranteed. And if they would pass up on one of those guys for that 3rd pick, I would be if they took Okudah at the 3rd pick, I would be furious with that pick because one of those guys is going to be there, Simmons or Chase Young. And to me, those guys are much higher prospects. So if they went tackle at 3, I'm gonna be kicking the wall. And we're going to be live, folks, on Luke G's channel. So if we pick a tackle at 3, get ready for some hilarious screaming because I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, you might. I'm gonna have to mute my mic because I'm gonna be because like I remember when we picked Ragnow over Sony Michel, and I lost my mind. And I know how good Ragnow is, but I really, 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 really wanted Sony Michel. And we ended up with Carrion. He's a great back, but I wanted Sony Michel, and we picked Ragnow, and I lost my mind. Like I couldn't believe we did that. So the Lions they've surprised us, but the Lions is the type of team trade back to 6 and 7 and draft Jeffrey Judy, and Lions fans lose their mind. So it is what it is.
Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
I was just gonna say, man. I mean, it's hard to be mad when teams try to boost their trenches because everything stems from the trenches. It's not flashy by any means, so it's a boring pick. But when you have a good offensive line and they can have way with defenses, I mean, how can you be mad with that? You know what I'm saying? That helps everything, especially everyone says, man, if we lose Stafford, we're going to be crappy. Man, we can't run the ball. Well, unless you invest in the offensive line, you're not going to be able to do anything. So
not at 3.
Mike, I know you're mad, but
right,
I mean, imagine getting.
It's no Quentin Nelson. Like Quentin Nelson, okay, cool. I'll take him at 3. But it ain't no Quentin Nelson, bro.
Got Mekhi Becton. You got
no, I don't want Becton. Jedrick Willis and Tristan Wirfs are the only 2 I'd take within.
Got Williams
top 5.
And if they take a tackle at 3, it's going to be a bad day because there's Simmons or Chase Young are going to be there. If they're going to stay at 3, it best be a Chase Young or as Isaiah Simmons, or I'm going to be real god dang upset because I'm so tired of watching this defense play so piss poor.
Yeah, I'm with you, Mike. It better be. Yeah, at 3, about. Sorry, go ahead, Jay.
I was about to say, Fucking Nuts got a great question. He said, "What if Burrow is there at 3?" I'm trading back 100% because I know they don't want him. Like, oh, you Burrow and Tua, which one y'all want?
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And just so I can touch on it real quick, I'm with Mike for sure. If we're at 3, it better be Chase Young or it better be Simmons. But for some reason, I just wouldn't be surprised if it was Okudah, man. I don't know why.
Don't take Okudah at 3. I will be furious with that.
Yeah, or I wouldn't be surprised if it was a trade back, even if it wasn't for a haul, just to get Okuda at 5, which I would
Yeah,
still be
trade back,
disappointed with.
I'm okay with.
We would be furious, but the media would be like, "Well, that's what we predicted." Because every mock
Yeah,
draft I see
exactly.
has us taking Jeff Okuda from.
It just doesn't make sense, dude.
Mel Dummer
not
to
at
Todd
3,
Gurley.
man.
You look at what Slay did last year, and people are like, "Oh, he's so good." Slay couldn't do shit all season, so why would you want to go get an Okuda with your first pick when our cornerbacks were, you got the top nickel quarterback in free agency, and you already had Slay, who was a top 5 cornerback. What do you think Okuda's gonna do? He's not gonna do anything. Even if he was the number 1 cornerback of all of next year, that's not gonna be enough for our team and our position. So it makes no sense taking a cornerback that high.
Yeah, and before we move on, I just want to say Luke G is spitting out lies in the chat. He did not win that debate. That's an absolute lie. Just wanted to throw that out there. We revealed the results at the end of the video, and even after the video, if you read some of those comments, it's pretty clear who won that. But I'll let you click on the video to see who won. All right, so James Willis says, are you confident in Daniel being Stafford's backup? No, I'm definitely not happy with Daniel being Stafford's backup because I think it's dumb. If Stafford gets hurt, there's no way we're making a playoff run. No way we're going to be winners. Even if we win a few games, that's all cosmetic to me. That doesn't matter to me when Stafford went down this year. I didn't care if they won even a single game because it was all cosmetic to me. I didn't think that meant a single difference. So I don't care who Stafford's backup unless it's the quarterback of the future. So I don't care at all that Daniels is our backup. So I have no thoughts on that. Does anybody else have thoughts on that?
I don't care about the backup. If Stafford goes down, we're effed. So
Luke G got a good question. No, this is a good question. He said, looking back at Calvin Johnson draft, would the Lions have been better if they got Joe Thomas over Calvin Johnson?
I want to touch base on this. Obviously,
that's a good question.
I love Calvin Johnson with a passion. My favorite wide receiver of all time. But we didn't have any success. We had one good season with Calvin Johnson his entire career, and we got knocked off in the first round of playoffs.
And no running game.
If you had Joe Thomas, it could have been a different story. Because, yes, everyone likes to bring this up. Stafford had 5,000-yard season, and Stafford had this, and we had the stats, but we weren't effective as a team. So I think if you brought in a Joe Thomas, who's 100% a Hall of Famer, on the offensive line, that could have changed things a little bit.
Well, the way I feel about it is no, hell no. Hell no. Joe Thomas is only one guy. You put him on that line, Stafford is still getting sacked 40 times a season. I'm sorry to tell you. Because the rest of them, the line is a collective unit. The rest of them are trash.
But we had Dominic Raiola back then, and he was pretty solid for a while.
Yeah, he was solid, and we still didn't do nothing. And our defense was always garbage. So regardless of what the offense is doing, the defense will still lose us games. And end of the day, Calvin Johnson put points on the board. He dictated a lot of coverages. And us not being successful with Calvin Johnson don't have nothing to do with Calvin Johnson. So I'm not – look, man, I love Joe. He is a Hall of Famer. He's a very – but no, not over Calvin Johnson.
I have a different take here.
I don't think so.
I have a different take. If Joe Thomas was with us, we still wouldn't win. So I'm going to say no because there's 2 games I love watching. And that's when Calvin Johnson destroyed the Dallas Cowboys twice and Des Bryant cried like a little girl. That was one of the greatest moments of my life. Joe Thomas wouldn't do that. Seeing Megatron just destroy that team. That was the greatest ever. I've watched that moment so many times and so many smiles. So we still want to have won, but at least with one, the Dallas Cowboys lost and Des Bryant cried. So I take that.
Yeah,
it's so hard, though.
Dwayne Hogan has a perfect point. What did Thomas do for Cleveland?
Yeah, but they did not have no Stafford. I mean,
Cleveland Steelers.
I think they would have won more games if they had Calvin Johnson. I guarantee you that. Regardless of who was playing to him, they would have won more games if they had Calvin Johnson for sure.
Why? I don't know. But listen, I think Andrew's point is that we saw what happened with Calvin Johnson, and we didn't see what would happen with Joe Thomas. So why not shake it up, roll the dice? Maybe with Joe Thomas, we do have a run game, and maybe because you know what everybody said. Stafford's whole career, up until Calvin retired that Calvin made Stafford's career. Then when he was gone, our passing game still flourished because Stafford was the man. So if Stafford was there with Titus Young, Nate Burleson, Ryan Broyles as his receivers, and then a run game to complement that with Reggie Bush and Joique Bell, with that 2014 defense, like we had a good defense for like a good 3 year span.
One year.
No. Whoa. That's not true. We had a really great defense 1 year, and then we had a pretty solid defense for a couple of years. So I think if we would have rolled the dice. I'm sorry.
When like the defense in 2013 was 17th, that's okay, and it was 2 in 2014. Every other year, Stafford has had a trash defense. Like every year, it's been below 20.
Here's another thing. One of the greatest moments, again, with Calvin Johnson, where Matthew Stafford did a Hail Mary pass Monday Night Football Week 5 against the Chicago Bears, and we heard this. He throws it to Megatron. Megatron got it. Touchdown, Calvin Johnson. Oh, baby, he did it again. That was one of the greatest moments in my life.
I don't know how we would do with Titus Young and Nate Burleson and Ryan Broyles. Like, Stafford probably would be looking like very questionable because he had to develop into that great quarterback. But with those kind of weapons, I don't know. We would have been scoring a lot of points. Like,
I mean,
seriously.
my thing that I'm looking at, JMO, is that it's 2020 hindsight now. Stafford plays more efficiently with what he has now than when he had Calvin. Were we a good offense? Hell yes, we were a good offense back then. But when you look at how well he plays still, I mean, he plays even better. He limits the turnovers. He can still, put up yards. He can still put up a good passer rating, touchdowns, everything. But we didn't have a good offensive line back then. We didn't have a run game back then, and we didn't have a defense.
We had a job at best. He was doing great until he got injured.
Yeah, I mean, he was doing great, but we only had him for less than a season.
Now, if he would have stayed with us.
My thing is, Joe Thomas is one O-lineman, and Calvin Johnson dictated coverage. He allowed other people to be open.
Facts.
Him on one side, shifts the whole defense to that side. And you can supplement in other ways. Hindsight is 2020, but just having Joe Thomas, he'll keep Stafford upright. But what about the right tackle? What about the left tackle? What about the right guard? What about the left guard? You can't
I feel you, J-Mo.
With one stud offensive lineman. You need a group. You need at least 3 guys that know how to run block. It just can't be Joe Thomas by himself. Like, we would have been like, well, all we got is Joe Thomas. That's all we would have been saying for like the last 5 years. All we got is Joe. Like,
Joe Thomas is human. Megatron is a damn transformer.
Exactly. The man was catching touchdown passes in triple coverage.
And he had 4 people on him during the Cincinnati Bengals game.
The Cincinnati Bengals, he caught the touchdown in triple coverage. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's definitely that's a great debate. That somebody should have.
Actually, what if we drafted Adrian Peterson instead of Calvin Johnson?
Right.
Yeah, disregard everything I said. If we drafted AP, disregard everything I just said.
Yeah.
I love Calvin to death, but if you put him with that guy,
all day,
we might win the Super Bowl.
He's still playing.
You've never seen a quarterback with a running back that good, probably ever in NFL history, unless y'all want to correct me. When have you seen a quarterback and running back tandem that were that elite? You've never seen that before.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah. AP? Oh my gosh, bro. Like we would probably be unbeatable, bro. Aaron Rodgers might not have no ring, bro. Like, I'm dead serious.
I mean, I don't want to say that because I already know anyone that's not a Lions fan would be like, oh, y'all are delusional again.
No, we not. Adrian Peterson and Matthew Stafford. That is not delusional.
I'm definitely delusional. I'd rather live in delusion than live in reality, because if reality was truth, being a Lions fan, I'd have committed suicide 34 years ago, and I'm 34 years old.
One thing we're not taking into account. Man, would Adrian Peterson have retired at 30 if he was a Lion? That's the real question.
Nah, dude, he loved the game.
For the Redskins. He loved the game.
Yeah, he loves the game. I
think
actually saw something about bringing AP to the Lions. I saw this literally like this year, and I was like, the dude is still performing. I've seen him break 80-yard touchdowns last year or the year before, and people think he's like washed up, whatever. I'm like, hell no, dude. The guy plays for Washington. They have nothing really going on. Like, you put AP in a good offensive line and like the right scheme, I think he can still produce at a high level.
Well, yeah, maybe not now. Maybe not now, but a couple of years ago when he was on the market, yeah. I mean,
he's literally still doing it.
Yeah, but I think he's not as good as he was a couple years ago.
I have him my third fantasy running back.
He still had the juice. But
let's reunite him with Bevel. That's what we want to see.
I would cry, bro. Dude, okay, look. Even with
our line isn't good enough, man.
All right, I think Haskins is literally a bottom 3 quarterback. I think that there's backup quarterbacks in the league that can outperform Haskins. And even with that being said, and them not having their left tackle, AP averaged 4.3 yards a carry. With a trash quarterback and a trash O-line.
And that's why your stat you just said there is why we need help on defense, because Dwayne Trashkins beat us.
How many attempts did he have, though?
He had 211, so it's not like it was like skewed or anything. He put up a full season worth of running.
AP still balling, man.
All day, baby. Funky Nuts is right though. If we did get AP in the Calvin draft, there's no way we would have gone 0-16. There's no way we would have gotten Stafford. So that's a fact.
Yeah, that's probably facts, but you never know.
Yeah. That's true. All right, guys, we've been on for an hour and 40 minutes. It's time to hang up. And if we missed your question, I'm sorry. I apologize. Must have just missed it because, the StreamYard things, you scroll and then it takes you all the way to the bottom. So I always lose my spot. So I apologize if I didn't get your question. But we're going to say our final, words to the chat right now. MicroMike, why don't we start with you? What are your final words?
Hey, man, appreciate you getting on here, talking Detroit Lions. As soon as you said you're ready to roll, I was like, well, hell yeah. I'm ready to talk some Detroit Lions. Love it. Appreciate that everybody came out. Man, 50 people in there. I see 40 likes. I see we got 44. Let's get up there all the way to likes. Tomorrow's roundtable is on Luke G's Field Reviews channel. It's going to be a hot show. We got an announcement to make. I can't wait to make it. And just in a couple weeks, guys, the NFL draft, day 1 on Luke's channel, day 2 on my channel, day 3 on Jim's channel. It's going to be awesome. If you were with us last year, we were getting crazy drunk off Kool-Aid, just having some fun in the draft of the all-day show. So make sure you jump on with us and experience the NFL draft. With that said, folks, like I always say, don't be no chump. Please wash your damn hands.
Yes, sir. J-Mo, what are your last words for the chat for today?
Oh, man, it was fun to just talk today. I did want to mention that Bucky Brooks did a little list about the top 5 most transcendent QBs right now. And Stafford was on the list, and a lot of people got in their feelings. You need to go listen to the Drake song if you want to feel better. He is definitely that talented, and it's good to see him get some respect. But I hope we continue to do well in free agency. I definitely think Kenny Golladay will be signed after the draft. They're just like Mike was saying, they're holding that off. But it all comes down to the draft. Otherwise, the draft is going to tell me if the season's going to be good or not, in all honesty. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that, man. Shout out to all my Lions fans. Make sure you like the video, man.
All right, there you go. Andrew, what are your last words for the chat?
Hey, I just want to say go Lions, man. That's all. I'm not
a man of many words.
All right. I'll add on to that. Go Lions. And then let me add. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hopping on. It was a really impromptu video that we wanted to make. And thank you, JMO and MicroMike, for also jumping on with short notice.
Yeah, for sure.
With our schedules, how they are, working from home and whatnot, it's hard to know when we're going to be available. So thank you all for being patient with us. And like MicroMike said, we have a special announcement to make on Tuesday. So make sure you tune in. It's a very special announcement. And then also, just go Lions and wash your damn hands. MicroMike didn't say it, so I had to.
Actually, I did.
Oh, he did.
Well, you know what? Wash them
I need some
again.
of what you got.
During today's times, you better wash them multiple times, boy.
Or else you're going to be impenetrable.
Oh
Yeah,
my
don't
god!
turn out like me. You know what I'm saying?
All right, see you guys.